What's going on, people? How you doing? TK Pryor coming at you, Mr. Finance here on social media with the hashtag Master Wealth Builders. And I want to continue our conversation about financial empowerment. You know, in the last conversation we talked about the fundamental understanding that commercial paper is a debt instrument issued by a private corporation that's acting in de facto status off of a closed account that technically is insolvent. So using that information, you have to responsibly act as an adult and make decisive separation decisions for positioning. So in the 21st century, what type of positioning is most effective given the changing dynamics? You know, the changing dynamics within the economic world is that the jig is up. The assigned value, thanks to rehypothecation within fiat, is up. I mean, the world financial community is no longer accepting the fiat derivatives and coming up with alternatives to issue commercial paper. So since the commercial paper is based in, you know, other people participating in the Ponzi scheme, and now that the jig is up and alternative systems are being created and international players or countries are starting to opt out of the fiat game, then that means that your personal choice has to come from that same place. And realistically, as these things happen, I mean, we all know everything runs, well, nature runs in cycles, right? So we're at the end of a 100-year cycle, 100-plus year cycle where, you know, the fiat game is coming to an end. So as the currency is no longer being used, you can't base your foundation in a currency that's going out of date. You have to change with the times and make some different decisions. So what are those decisions? Okay, first of all, we as a people have to choose tangibles, tangible assets, gold, silver, Bitcoin, right? And then let's say an ICO or an investment that you participate in actually produces a decent amount of return. So you can take that return on investment and put it as seed capital and establish an estate. You know, you have to convert commercial paper into tangibles and then put those tangibles in your estate, which simply means a wealth protection trust. So once you establish your trust, you can't buy anything in your name. You have to buy it underneath your trust. And fundamentally, that's the smartest way to go forward, given the changing economic environment, right? If you look at the people who have achieved paper success, or the people who have elevated in this fiat game, then that's one thing that you see that they've done. They've converted paper instruments into tangible assets, and then they've transferred all their assets underneath their asset protection trust, their estate. So I've said it a million times that the everyday person needs to act and do the same thing. So if you talk about surviving the transitionary period that we're entering in terms of the changing of the guard, you have to participate in what's next. And it encompasses tangibles and a trust, or your assets being protected underneath the trust, and then operating through said trust from that establishment point forward. So I want to give you guys this as a synopsis, a general guideline for, I guess you can call it financial empowerment, because what you're doing is stepping out of the fiat game. You know, you really want to opt out of the rat race. You want to, you know, make some different decisions, better position yourself, and be ahead of what's next. So every person has the individual responsibility to choose. You know, I'm implementing as I speak to you, and positioning myself so that I can afford to establish my trust, and working aggressively to convert whatever commercial instruments I get from my job to a tangible asset. So the job is to pay for, of course, the future. So I use the money from the job, or I use the currency, the commercial instruments that I get from work, in order to focus on accumulating more gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And I think that's where our people have been lulled to sleep. Our people are definitely what you can consider to be lazy and lost and comfortable with their enslavement that they actively participate in, because it, you know, to wake up means you have to have responsibility, and to take personal responsibility means that you can no longer be dismissive. You can no longer point the finger, and that's what our people do. So the solution has to come from your choices, and I think a lot of people just aren't going to elevate to that level. All right, but the problem is that